Today's writing lesson is going to be about looking at texts with kind of a different spin to them. So, nonfiction text with a different angle. So, we're going to take a commonly used topic that we've all heard about and we've all learned about a lot before, and then we're going to put a little bit of a spin on it to learn about it in a new way. So, in the assignment, you can see right here, there are a few directions. So, make sure you go through the directions in order. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to open up this T chart right here. And there's a facts that you know about George Washington and a facts that you learned about George Washington. So the first one, the green side, you're going to fill out right now. And you want to put in at least 5 facts that you know about George Washington before reading the story today. So pause the video now and do that. At least 5 facts. You can make a list, bullet points, but capitals and periods are a must. Now that you're done doing that, you're going to continue watching this video and watch me read George Washington's Teeth to you. If you want to look at it on your own, it is attached in the mentor text for feature articles, which is in your writing assignment, which is in the writing block as well. So now we're going to read through it, and I want you taking notes in a notebook on the side, new facts that you're learning about George Washington, and more specifically, about George Washington's teeth. When we finish, you'll put in what you've learned on our T chart. So let's get to reading now. George Washington's teeth. George Washington's Teeth, written by Deborah Chandra and Madeline Gomora. Pictures by Brock Cole. All of his life, George Washington had problems with his teeth and worked hard to save them. This story is based on what really happened to George and his teeth. I want you to focus on something here. This is a nonfiction text, but you're going to notice a few new things about this nonfiction text that we don't normally see in a nonfiction text. The Revolutionary War, George hoped, would soon be won, but another battle with his teeth had only just begun. George Washington rushed into town. The dentist heard his shout. "Hold still," he said, then gave a yank. A rotten tooth popped out. All that night, George tossed and moaned. Another tooth was sore. But at the dawn, he saddled up and galloped off to war. George reached New York as British ships invaded every port. Preparing for a fierce attack, his soldiers built a fort. This should be bringing back a lot of that schema, previous knowledge. We learned about the Revolutionary War, and we've talked about nonfiction text and text features and text structures before as well. Inside, he rubbed his swollen gums with soothing oil of myrrh, until a sentinel cried out, "Here come the British, sir." Charging on the field, George thought, "There's something in my mouth." He spat into his handkerchief. Another tooth came out. "This can't be happening," George gasped. "What if someone should see? If word got out I'm losing teeth, my men would laugh at me." While no one looked, he wrote a note his dentist would receive. "Please come," it said. "I'll need your help when I get home on leave." George crossed the icy Delaware with 9 teeth in his mouth. In that cold and pitchy dark, 2 more teeth came out. Snow fell on George at Valley Forge. His blue coat hung in tatters. By then he'd only 7 teeth that couldn't even chatter. Yet bravely George led forth his men, coat and pigtail flying. While cannons boomed, he held his jaw and groaned, "I think I'm dying." The redcoats fled. George won the war. When he returned alive, Martha checked for 7 teeth, but counted only 5. I'm going to take a quick pause right here. I suggest that you pause the video. Remember, we're looking for 5 facts that you're learning as we read this story. So take your time, pause the video, and write down some facts as we go. He hid the evening of her ball, ashamed his friends would see. That night the dentist came again. George lost another 3. Poor George had 2 teeth in his mouth the day the votes came in. The people had a president, but one afraid to grin. A portrait artist came to George. He said, "I know a trick. I'll pad your mouth with cotton balls to puff your sunken lips." George stood up to have a look. He fell back on his fanny. "It doesn't look like me," he roared. "It looks like Martha's granny." He yanked the cotton from his mouth, then gasped, "What have I done?" The cotton held a rotten tooth. Now George had only one. George still had that tooth the night a knock came at the door. "I've brought false teeth," the dentist called, "teeth that won't get sore." George put them in, but when he smiled, springs snapped against his tongue. Out flew those teeth. "Ah!" George shrieked. "They've knocked out my last one." "Oh no," George moaned. "I'm toothless." He kept his mouth shut tight. He couldn't sleep. He paced the floor and prayed with all his might. "If only I had teeth," thought George. He pondered what to do. "Aha!" he cried. "All my old teeth might help make something new." He searched Mount Vernon's bedchambers, the pantry, parlors, halls, through shelves, desk drawers, and the musty floor of every horse's stall. George found no teeth. "Alas, they're gone." A great sob shook his shoulders. Through tears he peered in one last chest, leaped up and yelled, "My molars!" With plaster and those teeth he found, George poured a sample mold that showed the dentist how to make false teeth George hoped would hold. The dentist took strong hippo tusk and carved a set to size, each tooth secured with screws of gold that lit up George's eyes. Can you guess the story's end? Those new teeth fit just right, and round the ballroom with his friends, George danced all through the night. George Washington's teeth. So again, we're going to go back now that we've finished the story. You're going to take any notes that you've made. You should have at least 5 facts. If you don't have your 5 facts, that's fine. You can just rewind and go watch through the video again, or read the book on your own and transfer those facts that you just learned. Let me open it up for you. Transfer those facts you learned into your T-chart. So this is where you put your 5 facts to begin with. And this is where you're going to put the 5 facts that you learned through the book. I don't want to hear that you didn't learn 5 facts. Get your 5 facts on there. Remember, 5 facts is the minimum. Feel free to do more. I filled the whole page with it, so you can go all the way to the bottom if you want. Enjoy.